segment, talking a little bit about Alzheimer's. I'm here with Dr. Marshall Nash. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it seems like for a little while, nobody even heard of Alzheimer's. You know, we'd heard of dementia, or, you know, you get old, you have a little, memory loss, and then all of a sudden, everybody knows somebody with Alzheimer's. Tell me a little bit about the history of Alzheimer's and what it is that we're trying to cure, because we still don't even have a cure.
Alzheimer's is a degenerative disease of the brain that affects more than just your memory. It affects your thinking, your cognitive function. It really affects the essence of who you are, and that gets chipped away at over time. And what's happening in your brain is proteins called amyloid proteins are coagulating, and they're misfolding, and they're obstructing the works. So basically, when you go to grasp a thought or remember someone's name, the wires blocked by this coagulated protein. So what we've been doing is, which is obvious in research, is creating antibodies that bind to that plaque and taking the plaque out. And we've done that.
Good.
So over the last 10 years, we've actually slowed the progression of Alzheimer's by about 50% with these medicines, which is really remarkable, because when I started in medical school, there was nothing for Alzheimer's. But to actually get into the brain and reverse things and take the plaque out is huge. The trouble is, there's two problems with it. As we've been taking people with what I thought was Alzheimer's disease, and their referring doctors thought was Alzheimer's disease, we do a PET scan now to check for that amyloid plaque, the plaque that we're trying to take out.
And some of them don't have the plaque.
Well, it's not some of them. It's most of them don't have it. It's really only 20-30% of people that we've put through the scanner, the PET scanner, to find the plaque actually have the plaque. Alzheimer plaque. Doesn't mean they don't have dementia.
Right.
So what do they have? It's very similar to this, the movie Concussion.
With the CTE.
CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, is really the tangles. So Alzheimer's has plaques and tangles. And CTE and other dementias mostly just have tangles, which is great for patients, because what that means is if you just have one problem, one variable, it's much easier to fix and solve. So we've done, really since 1999, we've been working on anti-amyloid, anti-plaque, Alzheimer plaque disease studies. And the cruise ship of research is slowly changing over to anti-tau. Okay, there's one company called TauRx that does anti-tau drugs, and there are others that are starting with this. But if we can take out the tau tangles, all right, in Alzheimer's, will probably help reverse or slow down Alzheimer's, but more importantly, that other 70% of people with dementia we may be able to fix.
Wow. So before we get too far, neurostudies.net, is that where people can learn a little bit more? Because I would imagine caregivers of people with dementia and or Alzheimer's, or again, what they think it might be the exact same thing, they don't even know that there's a difference, or they don't even know how to perhaps get into a trial to see where exactly their loved one is.
Well, the important thing to understand for us is that most doctors don't know this information right now, because you don't publish information about people that didn't qualify for a trial.
Okay.
So it's really going to take a while for the industry and the medical community to realize we've been focusing so firmly on curing Alzheimer's, that we're sort of throwing the baby out with the bathwater. If 2/3 of the people with dementia have a disease that may be easier to treat than Alzheimer's, the research and the industry needs to focus on that. And it's not happening yet, because when you go through the FDA to do a research study, major pharmaceutical company approaches the FDA, that's a multi-year process.
Right.
So right now, if they started now, it would be 3 or 4 years before these anti-tau drugs. And what we're really concentrating on, just like we have with Alzheimer's, plaques and tangles, we have a PET scan that picks out the plaque. We're creating and working on the PET scan that shows up the tangles.
The tangles, wow.
And once that happens, you can basically go into a scanner, if you have memory loss, get anti-tangle and anti-plaque drugs as part of like an MRI scan, and it'll show you what type of dementia you have.
Wow.
And then we can take one of these antibodies that takes that out and administer it to you, and that's essentially what these research projects are.
This is exciting.
It's very exciting.
You've got to be like on the edge, because it feels like, from hearing you speak, like we're almost there, like you're on the cusp of it all.
We're on the edge. We're truly on the cutting edge of research right now, and we're about to attack. It's basically phase 2.
Wow.
So, plan A was to attack the amyloid plaque, It didn't fail, but it just slowed things down, which for me isn't good enough. If for the patients it's not good enough. So this is the next phase, and there's also things that we're trying to do to prevent it in the first place.
All right. Well, okay. Well, now you got to close out with the website where they can learn more and know where they are and what they can do to.
Well, you help me out with the second one. My website is neurostudies.net.
Okay, perfect.
And so anyone who's in Georgia that's interested in participating or learning more about studies can go to neurostudies.net.
Perfect.
And there's a link there for the brainhealthregistry.org.
Okay.
So anyone that's listening outside of Georgia or outside of the Atlanta area that wants to be informed if there's a trial that they may benefit from should just register at brainhealthregistry.org.
Wow, thank you so much. It was good to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
All right. Talk about giving somebody hope. Like, that's so exciting. So the research is happening. I mean, people are working on this day in and day out. All we've got to do is become a little more educated on our end so we know how that we can, step up to the plate. And perhaps sometimes it's just the people that are needed for the trials. You never know. So go to the website, learn a little bit more if this pertains to you. And stay tuned to Focus Atlanta every week here on Atlanta.